Your brain has been running a story about you since you were a child. A story about what you're capable of, what you deserve, what kind of person you are. And here's the part nobody tells you. That story isn't yours. It was written by your environment, your failures, and the people who needed you to stay manageable. Psychologists call it your self-concept, and research shows it doesn't just affect how you feel. It determines the opportunities you notice, the risks you take, and how every single person in your life unconsciously decides to treat you. Your brain is lying to you about who you are, and today, that ends.
In 1965, psychologist Robert Rosenthal ran one of the most disturbing studies in the history of psychology. He told teachers that certain students had been identified as intellectual bloomers, on the verge of a cognitive breakthrough. By the end of the year, those students scored dramatically higher on IQ tests. The catch? The names were pulled randomly from a hat. The students weren't special, but the teachers believed they were. And that belief silently changed every interaction. The students felt it, internalized it, and became it. This is called the Pygmalion Effect, and it is operating in your life right now, not from a teacher, but from the mirror inside your own mind. The story you've been telling yourself about who you are, it was given to you by people who meant well, by people who were afraid of you, by people who gave up on themselves and quietly needed you to do the same. Cognitive behavioral psychology calls these core beliefs the deepest layer of self-perception, built in childhood, reinforced across decades, and almost invisible because they don't feel like beliefs. They feel like facts. I'm not the type of person who. Someone like me doesn't. I should be realistic. These aren't observations. They're a cage. And you've been walking around in it thinking it was just the size of the world.
Every time you walk into a room, people run an assessment on you, unconsciously, in under 4 seconds. Psychologists call it thin slicing, the brain extracting an impression from minimal information. And what they're reading has nothing to do with your resume. They're reading your stillness, your posture, whether you fill space or contract away from it, whether you speak to be understood or to be approved of. Here's what's dark about this. The people who get consistently undervalued in life are often not the least intelligent in the room. They're the ones whose self-perception doesn't match their actual ability. And that gap bleeds through in every interaction. They over-explain. They qualify every sentence. They laugh nervously at the wrong moment. And the people who know how to read human behavior, they don't see humility. They see an opening. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince that men judge more by their eyes than their hands. What people perceive shapes their response to you far more than what you actually do. Your self-perception is a signal. You're broadcasting it right now. The question is, what frequency?
Here's the part that's hardest to accept. The most dangerous adversary in your life doesn't live outside you. It lives in the gap between who you are and who you're capable of being. And it speaks in your own voice. It doesn't attack you with aggression. It attacks you with reason. You're not ready. Now isn't the right time. What if you try and fail? Again. It dresses fear as wisdom, calls hesitation careful thinking. And it wins, not by defeating you in a single battle,
but by delaying you until the accumulated weight of waiting quietly crushes the ambition out of you. Neuroscience has a name for the brain network running this program: the default mode network, active when you're not focused on a task, is built to replay the past and model future threats. Left unmanaged, its default setting is: keep things the same. Stay where it's familiar. Don't risk. This is why most people never change. Not because they lack ambition, because the architecture of their brain is optimized for survival, not expansion. Here's what that means practically. Every time you stand at the edge of something that could change your life, your nervous system fires a warning signal. Your chest tightens. Your mind produces a list of reasons to wait. That signal isn't wisdom. It's biology. And you can stop obeying it.
So how do you actually change this? Not with affirmations, not with motivation. Those are fuel that burns out by Tuesday. You change it with a standard. There's a critical difference between a goal and a standard that almost nobody talks about. A goal is something you reach toward. It lives in the future, always slightly out of reach, dependent on external circumstances lining up. A standard is the floor you refuse to fall below. Right now, today, in every decision you make. The most psychologically resilient people studied by Carol Dweck didn't just believe they could grow. They operated from a forward-facing identity, constantly asking not, am I good enough, but who am I becoming? That single reframe is everything. Stop asking, do I have what it takes? Start asking, what does the person I'm becoming do in this moment? Then do that. Not when you feel ready, now. Because here's what the research actually shows. Confidence doesn't precede action. It's produced by action. Every time you act in alignment with the person you're deciding to become, even once, even imperfectly, your brain updates its model of who you are. The neuroscientists call it self-schema updating. You can just call it the lie getting smaller. One last thing, and this one is counterintuitive. Most people try to change how others see them by talking more, explaining more, proving more. It backfires every time. Here's why. Studies on negotiation and social dominance consistently show that the first person to break a silence concedes psychological ground. Over-explanation signals anxiety. Anxiety signals low self-concept. And low self-concept, as we've established, is exactly what tells the room how to treat you. The most powerful shift you can make in how the world responds to you isn't louder. It's quieter. Stop explaining your decisions to people who didn't ask in good faith. Stop justifying your vision to people who can't see it yet. Stop performing certainty and start having it. A man or woman who can sit in discomfort, who doesn't reach for relief through over-talking, oversharing, over-justifying, holds a structural advantage in almost every social dynamic they enter. Your silence isn't emptiness. It's evidence that you've already settled the question your words were trying to answer.
Your brain has been running a story about you since childhood. That story was shaped by your failures, your environment, and the people who needed you to stay small. But here's what the psychology actually says. That story is not permanent. It is not fact. It is a model, and models can be updated. The Pygmalion Effect works in reverse. When you believe in yourself with the cold certainty of someone who has made a decision, not a wish, a decision, the world starts to respond differently. The opportunities become visible. The room recalibrates. Not because the world changed, because you changed the signal you're sending into it. Drop a comment right now. I think differently now. Then go prove it quietly, consistently, without waiting for anyone's permission. If this hits something real, subscribe, because what comes next goes even deeper.